Right then guys, we just made a shocking discovery. The bomb squad are on their way. It's now Wednesday. We've got a pour coming Friday, so no pressure whatsoever. This stuff down here is absolutely solid. It's ridiculous. It makes you realise why they just built this house straight off the ground, because it's that hard. We've had to go a bit OTT with this, unfortunately, just because this corner is absolutely mullered. It's a momentous occasion. We're going to get the footings poured today. Good morning YouTube, welcome back to another week on site. So it's Monday and we're all feeling fresh. Well, sort of. We've got a few ill people, there's loads of stuff going around at the minute, which is always nice. So last time we spoke, I was discussing this. Unfortunately, I wasn't involved in putting it in because I had to run around and do some bits. So this is what I was talking about with regards to propping up that nib there. So that nib is not actually tied into this wall at all, so we needed to make sure that we were nice and secure here. So like I mentioned, I got Alex to do a brick pad there, and then we've just propped up off there. And then where I punch through in the floor, there's another prop that comes up and holds this needle. So what that will do is nicely support all the brickwork up there. You can see we've also got this vertical prop across there as well. What that's doing is just providing a bit of compression against there, just to prevent any extra slippage. Just a bit about and braces. You know us. So first of all, what we're going to do is get rid of all this. This needs to get out of the way so we can clear that and get that out onto our little dumping area. Once that's done, then we can get into here. So we're going to get a prop underneath this. The problem that we've got is here, obviously we need to get this out and we need to get it out safely, but it needs to be cut out. So what we're going to do is basically prop it up underneath and then cut that. If we cut it without it being propped, what may happen is when we cut through this bit here, this side will drop and it will pinch on the blade and cause some issues. So if we just get a gentle prop underneath it just to take the weight off it, we can cut through that safely. And once that's done, then we can literally just pull that out with the digger and that will just drop down onto the floor, nice and controlled. We may just do a couple of scores on that just to maybe try and tap it down so it goes down safer. But yeah, once that's out, we can then dismantle all this, take this down, and then start to get our pad in here. Then if you remember, we've done some concrete in here and here, so there's a bit in the middle which needs to come out with some rebar fixed into each of these footings either side, and then that can be ready to be poured, and then we can carry on with the footings out here. We have got another bit of propping to do here before we dig this footing across here, but we can do that once we get around here and whatever, we can get all that done. That's it. That is the sketch for today. Let's get on with it. So we've got our little pile gone, that's all out there now, ready to be taken away. Next up, we've got this. So we've got to take this lintel out here, like I mentioned earlier. I've just removed some of the brickwork from there, which was basically pinching that in. What I'm going to do is just go upstairs, use the petrol cutter, and just basically cut a couple of slots in this. Hopefully try and get through any rebar if there is any in there, and then we can literally just tap this out the way then, and that'll be gone, and then I can get this pillar taken down here, and then we can get in here and start getting this pad out. The A&E underpinning division has taken on a new member today. James is now part of the team.
No longer in the demo team.
No longer in demo, he's now A&E underpinning. Paulie P is not here today, so James is his well-established replacement. He's dug a hole.
Gonna get concreted.
Oh, he's going to fill the hole. So you can see this diagonal acro here. This pad of concrete is what would have been beneath the hearth of the fireplace above. You can tell it's pretty new because they've scarified it and whatever to put plaster onto. We don't know if that is actually tied into the wall, so that's why the lads have just done this, just to prop it up, just in case. Bit of batten braces, because you don't want that landing on your head, do you, mate?
Wouldn't be ideal.
No, those little ear defenders would not protect your head from that. Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit. Right, let's go and start making some noise. So the hose is being used downstairs, that's why Bear Grylls did and use this, just to stop the dust. Right, I've gone through as much as I can now, so all I'm going to do now is just basically tap this down. I've cut at an angle like that, so the angle goes in that way, so what will happen is that will fall away. If I'd have cut straight down, it probably could have binded together, but by putting that angle on it, same principle as when you cut out a door lining, just cut that angle, so that means this piece can fall down and then there'll still be an angle here, so nothing will pinch and it will just drop straight down. In theory, let's have a look, shall we, see what happens. Right, she's out, but she's gone. She's there. So get this out of the way, and now we can start to take all this down now, get this pillar out of the way. And then like I say, once that's done, we can get this pad dug, ready to receive the steel column, which is gonna go up there, and then start moving our way out. Right, let's do it. Right then guys, we've started digging the hole. So this will be the first pad. So basically we've got to go up to where we've done this underpinning here. And if you remember before, there's a concrete pad here as well. So we're basically going to mass fill this here. We're going to have a 1200 by 1200 slab by 500 mil deep. We are going to have to tow under as well, same as we've done with this footing here, same as we've been doing with the underpinning. We'll tow that under as well. So that gives us a nice base then for our column. So whilst I'm doing that, we've got to take out a section of bricks there, both external and internal skin. And then what we're going to do then is come across from the 45s, basically in line with the face of these bricks like this, straight through there with a needle. Same sketch as what we've done here, but across here. So we'll go straight through because we've got to put another pad in under here, a 1200 by 1200 pad. But we've also got to dig a footing across here, because there's going to be basically a footing straight across here. There's going to be a wall which goes straight the way up there. So we need to make sure, obviously, we've got space to do that. So by putting the needle across there on the 45 like that, it gives us plenty of clear space so we can get in there, get that footing dug out nice and safely without it being right on the edge. May twist it round a little bit more so it's a bit further over this way, so it comes further over. But we can assess that once we start knocking all that out. While the lads are doing this as well, I'm going to carry on scratching around in there, get this dug out in here as well. Alex is nearly finished inside with the underpinning, so we're up to the stage where we can be at the minute with everything in there. So then we can all basically get out here en masse and start getting this bad boy done. Right guys, it's a bit noisy, but hopefully you can hear me. So you can see up here now what we're talking about. So we've punched this hole through here, and that is going to then carry this corner. So we're going to bring this needle through, and we're going to get a pad stone on the ground here, and then we're going to basically prop that up with an afro, which is just here. And then internally as well, we'll do the same thing. So there's a hole up there in the ceiling. We're going to just get some boards on the floor, because there is a load of OSB down here, just to spread the load a little bit. Acro work and pinch the other side of the needle, and then that'll prop all this up. Then what we're going to do, just to make sure that this bit is covered, we're going to do exactly the same, but go through sort of this point here, straight in and straight out here. Okay, because we are a little bit concerned, once we take this lintel out here, this is not just going to be supported at all, so we're going to need to get some additional props in here, so that's why we're coming through with that as well. The reason the lintel's coming out is obviously because this corner's coming out, so that will mean that the lintel just floating there, so obviously for safety we're going to need to take that out. We will get something across the top as well to make sure that none of that brickwork drops, just to make sure everybody is nice and safe. We're going to get this bad boy in, and then we can start knocking this down and get this pad out, and then carry on with the footing. Right then guys, so it is the end of the day. We have got some needles in. We've had to go a bit OTT with this, unfortunately, just because this corner is absolutely mullered. We've come through at the angle, like I said with this one. So you can see that's all nicely supported there. So that means now we can take that corner out. And then also we've had to prop this. So this was literally crumbling apart inside. And so we've done what we could do here, hence why we've had to put two through. We've had to get some bricks and slate and all sorts of stuff there to make sure that works. But that does mean now we can literally take all this section out here. So all this bit can go. If you remember, that wow's under there, which is a bit of a nightmare for us. And then we can basically take this corner down then and start digging the pad. The lads have been very busy in these holes, getting these dug out. So this, if you remember, you can see now we've scraped it all off. This is the concrete pad that we did before, and then there's the other one there. So all we need to do now is basically drill some holes in the sides here and here, and then we can get some rebar in. So when this is poured, this will all basically become one. It will stop any slippage. We'll also do the same in this side as well, get some rebar in there. So then this is all poured as one, and that will make sure this pad is nice and solid then. Got a little bit of finishing off to do underneath there for the underpinning bit. So this pad sits firmly underneath there. And then yeah, that's it. We can start getting all the footings out. So we're just going to run straight across here, over to there. It'll be 3 meters out, straight across, and then another one in the middle here, and obviously along that side as well. And that's it. We can get the concrete poured, start getting the oversight done, and then hopefully get out of this bloody mud. It's summer, but it's still muddy. Of course it is, it's England. Right, let's go home and we'll see you in the morning. Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to another day on site. A very muddy site. Guess what it did last night? It rained. So more mud, yay, we love it. It's fantastic, yeah. Anyway, today we're gonna start digging out the footings. Whilst these footings are being dug out, we're gonna also take this section down here. So by the time I'm sort of over here, we can get in there then, take that pad out that's gotta be dug in the bottom, same as this one over here. And then we can dig this final footing out. It's now Wednesday. We've got a pour coming Friday, so no pressure whatsoever. But we'll do it, you know we will. Right, I've talked for a minute, that is far too long. Let's get on with it. Okay, so we're down to depth here. We need to be 1 meter below ground. You can see this is the same sketch as everywhere else. It's that real tough green stuff, the real solid clay, which is absolutely ideal for doing this. Building control are going to be very happy. There is going to be a small element of hand dig. Obviously we've got to underpin this corner here slightly, just toe under that and just shave that off. So basically where this footing comes along here, just return that back into the wall there. So there is going to be a small element of hand dig in this point. We're pretty much where we need to be. This is our 3 meters here now, so by the time I come this side and start digging that out, that is going to be perfect for where we need it. I don't know if you can see over there, there's a yellow mark just there. So that's our 3 meters, so we just need to get a line strung across here now, and then we can get this lot dug out. Alex is nearly finished in there, so once he's done in there, he's going to start getting this demolished. We're making good progress, so let's carry on. Right then guys, so you can see we're starting to make very good progress here. James is just grafting away in here because we need to do obviously the little bit of a toe under, because there is going to be a nib which comes up here which is going to carry this steel. Approximately here, it's 350 off this wall, and then that means then this cavity wall which runs out here will run in line with that then, so it doesn't just look like a nib sticking out, it's the actual whole wall that comes across. And then we're coming across here and straight up to there like I said. Alex has been busy here doing some demolition. You can see now what our props are doing, holding all this lot up. We've now managed to get that dodgy little pillar out which was floating above this well here. That's all gone. Next up we're going to move onto this corner, get all this corner out so then I can move the digger in and then start digging the pad out there and then pull this footing back, that footing back, that footing back. Then we're done. Breathe. Right, let's carry on. So while the guys get this corner down, I'm just jumping in here for a minute because we've got to get this in, this rebar. So what this does, because we've done loads of separate pads, this just basically ties everything together nicely. So I'm just drilling some holes. We do need a longer drill bit than this, but one of the lads does have one in his van, so he's going to pop and get it in a sec. So basically we just drill a slightly wider hole down the rebar. We're going to fill this with anchor resin, and then we're going to slot these in there, and then they'll sit in there like this, obviously further in. This is just an example, don't hold me to this. So this goes into there like that, gets anchor resined in, so that's nice and solid, and then when the concrete gets poured around this basically acts as a tie to tie these all together. So we've got a few to do just to get into all these pads. There's going to be a couple going into that underpinning as well, just to hold that little pad together there. And then also the end of this footing here, we will do a couple in there as well to tie it into the main run across there. So that is what I'm doing now. Let's carry on. Right then guys, so it is the end of the day and we've done pretty well today. So all this is now dug out here. We've had building control come around. They're more than happy with what we've done here. So we've towed right under. This here goes right through the wall. So we've got a nice pad there for our nib to sit on. We've also got 100mm under this side as requested by building control. We're down to depth. This stuff down here is absolutely solid. It's ridiculous. I'm just having to scrape and scrape and scrape to get through it. It makes you realise why they just built this house straight off the ground, because it's that hard. Here we've got our 1200 by 1200 pad that I've been talking about, and the same in here. So that's all done now. That's all dug out nicely down to depth. Starting to get down to depth here, but because obviously we've got this junction here of this one and this one, I'm just digging it back to a certain point. Same here, and then I'm going to come back out over there, and then we're going to basically bridge across this footing here. There's no other way of doing it. I'm going to have to drive across there, but we'll obviously board this all out so it's nice and safe. And then once I'm across, I'm actually going to be on both sides of the soil anyway, so that's nice and safe. But this is how we're having to do that. Rebar, I need to get another longer drill bit because the one that we had was a bit too long and I couldn't really get in there with it, so I'm going to just pop to the merchants after work and grab another one of those. So then tomorrow we can get all the rebar in there, get the rest of this dug out, and then we're ready for Friday for the concrete. So that's it. It's turned out to be a lovely day. We're all going to go home and enjoy our evening, and we'll see you in the morning. Good morning guys, welcome to another day on site. What we have noticed, because the ground out here, this whole street is on a big gradient like this, so we are actually going to have to put a step footing in across here. If you remember, there was a wall here, a garden wall across there. We need to rebuild that, and that's on next door neighbour's side. So we're kind of governed by the height of that wall where it sits on our foundation, but also what we're governed by is our actual ground level here, which does cry down like this. So we're just getting the layers level set up now to check, but what we do think is we're going to have to put a step in, possibly around here somewhere, and just slightly drop this down. Otherwise we're going to end up with concrete pouring over there. We're actually governed by these pads here that we'd preset, because obviously all this was all built up. It was very difficult to get an exact gauge of everything and see exactly what was going on when we were doing these pads. So we allowed these pads to go under this footing here to obviously support this wall, and then we took our measurements for our steel columns which are going up there from this. So we need to make sure our pad in there and our pad here are the same height as these pads out here to make sure that our columns fit in, otherwise we're going to have issues with that. We do need to make sure that obviously when we pour this concrete it doesn't start flooding over, because that will waste quite a bit, and then we're going to have fun clearing it up. So what we need to do, like I say, if we do decide that these are actually higher than the ground down there, we're going to have to basically put some shuttering in. We do know we're going to have to put a bit of shuttering in inside there, because where we've dug out the basement, the ground level is definitely lower than out here. You can just about see the height difference from this pad here to where we've done the underpinning in there. This is definitely higher than that, so we are going to have to shutter this off, which will ultimately mean the same in there, because the ground level in the basement is now the same. It will mean that this corner here at the very least will need to be shuttered off to ensure that we don't have concrete flooding out of there. And then also, because like I mentioned, this ground comes down, we're probably going to have to shutter there as well. So there is going to be a little bit of extra work that we're going to have to do just to make sure this all works well. But we have got all of today and tomorrow morning-ish to get all this done before the concrete arrives. So should be fun, should be entertaining. Let's do it. Right then guys, we just made a shocking discovery. The bomb squad are on their way. We've just uncovered a World War II shell. Dun, dun, dun. It's not really, it's a producer for underground soil pipe. But it does look suspiciously like some sort of World War II memorabilia. Basically underground here where we connect onto our main run is a 9-inch pipe, and then this reduces it down to 4-inch effectively. So that is what that is. Bit of history for you. Definitely not a shell, definitely no bomb squad on the way. That would have been interesting, wouldn't it? Right then guys, we are now done and ready for the concrete. So this is it. Just a little explanation. We've got our 1200 by 1200 pad there for this column. We've also got our 1200 by 1200 pad there for this column, which is going up here. and then they will then carry the steels which run across here. We've also got this pad here, which if you remember from before, we had to do these for our underpinning. So we've done a metre, left a metre, done a metre. So we've got our rebar in there. That has all been anchor resined in. Same in here as well. So to our underpin and to this pad, so this will all be locked together nicely. These pads are 500mm deep as spec'd by the structural engineer, so that will all flow through in with our footing, so that'll all become one. Like I mentioned before, because everything's all over the place, the ground comes down, and because we had everything still up over here while we were doing all the measurements and everything, we have realised that we have to do 2 separate footings. It's going to be one footing, but it's going to be what's known as a step footing, in which one height steps down to another height, hence the name step footing, in case you hadn't guessed. There you can see the neighbour's garden here is a lot lower than what our ground is here. So what we're going to have to do is basically drop this down to where that line is there, just here, this line here. So that will be the height of the footing on this side, and then the other side will come up to, well, it's about here, something like that. We have spoken to our concrete guy, and he has informed us of what to do to make sure that the step footing goes smoothly, because what I was concerned about is this is all going to be poured, so there's a lot of weight, a lot of pressure against here. So what we didn't want to happen was them to pour this, and because this is lower, this basically push down and then raise the height of this. He's assured me that this is going to work. What he said is basically they stiffen the mix up slightly when it gets to this point here to basically create sort of a blockade, so it's not as free flowing, and it will just build at this area here, and then this will be slightly wetter to allow for it to flow around nicer. We are going to be coming up to where these pins are, basically just a bit of a gauge for us so we know roughly where we're at. These are all set with our laser to make sure that we're at the height we need to be. It also works gauge well for our brick wall, which is going to be coming back in here, where we're going to reinstate the garden wall which was here originally. We've also got some nice little safety planks to walk across, because jumping across these isn't great, because one, you could fall in and it would hurt, and two, you can end up breaking the edges, and then it's more concrete, more scooping out. We don't want any of that, do we? Right, I'm off for a cheeky little meeting to discuss some skirting boards and some windows. The lads are going to carry on getting tidied up, and that's it. We'll be back tomorrow for the concrete pour. See you tomorrow. Good morning, guys. It's a momentous occasion. We're going to get the footings poured today. We've been busy already this morning. We've got all these. These are the steels which are going to be going on. The ones that I've talked so much about that you're probably bored of hearing. These are those bad boys. We've also got a load of shims there as well, because we have these ones here with the big plates on the bottom. They're our columns. What we've actually done is spec those to be slightly smaller than what we need, just to allow for a little bit of wiggle room, because it is an old house and we are pouring footings, so nothing's ever perfectly mill perfect. So yeah, we've got some shims. We've allowed a little bit of wiggle room on these columns, so we will probably need to jack them up a little bit. So hence why we've got all those. Everything's set up and ready. We're literally just waiting now for the concrete and the pump truck to turn up. Once they do, we can start the pour. Yeah, that's it really. Not much to report. This is the exciting bit of just waiting around, because although we get a time, things never perfectly work out. As we all know, life's never perfect. So as soon as they get here, we will switch this camera back on and you can see all the action. Yeah, mate. Go edit the So the lads are just pumping the concrete in. You can see we've got some nice Gen 3 going in here. Nice and solid, perfect foundations. Nice and easy. The first pad's done, ready for the column. Now we're just moving on to this one to join the footings together, and then it's the main pour then. Let's go on with it. So what they've just done here, created a bit of a thicker mix around this area here to basically stop the pressure from this footing pushing through, because we want this side to be lower, down to this line here, where these yellow pegs are. We want it to be down to there, and obviously this side is going to be a lot higher, so the force of the concrete could push this through and basically lift this. So by putting in a thicker mix there, it basically just bulks it up enough so that the concrete doesn't force it all through. That is why. It's just been a bit of a time delay there. Yeah, Sam, you drag that out. So now we've got all our footings poured, they're exactly where we want them to be. We've given it a little bit because there is always going to be a bit of loss due to water in the mix, so you will end up with a bit of water on top, which obviously evaporate away and leave you with what you need. Now we've got basically this whole pipe full that we need to get rid of. So where our well was, we're going to basically get it to blow all that into there, so that'll help us because we're going to need to fill it with stone anyway. So if they get the rest of the concrete in there, it's a bonus, it's a win-win. We've already paid for this bit of concrete, so we might as well use it. Otherwise it's just going to end up on the ground, we've got to break it up and get rid of it. But yeah, it's all gone pretty well. Well, it's gone very well to be honest. Our step footing worked, which is good. That's held out nicely. So shout out to Tom Harris Pumping. You were right, mate, it worked. Well, tell you what, we'll check it on Monday and make sure it has worked before I say it did work. But yeah, all looks good. I'm going to get tidied up and that's it. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, give us a big thumbs up. And if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe to us because it helps our channel grow and helps us bring you more very exciting videos like this. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye.